Howdy, howdy, folks. It's that time of the week to stamp together. And so today we will be stamping with the Lovely and Sweet bundle. And Notes of Nature, Nature's Sweetness is going to make, a cameo appearance in this class. It's kind of part 2 of Technique Time from March. So, Barbara Campbell, good morning to you and welcome. You are the first one on, and so today you are my cue to begin officially with good Thursday morning and welcome to Seeing Ink Spots. My name is Elizabeth. I'm sure you know that, but welcome to everybody who pops on today or who even watches the replay. I'm grateful for each of you that you'll come and just stamp along with me or, glean a few ideas from today's class. Hello. Oh man, I just knocked over my whole crate of stuff. Brilliant. Hello, Marcia. Hello, Kat. So good to have you here. So I mentioned today's class it's kind of like part 2 from March. So in March, we used the Notes of Nature bundle with the Nature's Sweetness Sweet collection. And, we used the paper and the cork rounds and just about everything. But we didn't stamp with the Lovely and Sweet. So today I will be stamping with Lovely and Sweet. And as I mentioned, Notes of Nature will make a little cameo appearance today. So let's flip the screen. And I'm just looking at the floor at my mess. I'll pick that up as well. But let's go ahead and begin with a little business and then on to the good stuff, and that's the stamping. So here comes the switcheroo. Okay. All right. So this is Lovely and Sweet. So there are dies that do match this that you'll see me using today. And Notes of Nature. So Notes of Nature is fabulous for collage stamping. This is not being carried over into the annual catalog. So get it while you can. These are great pieces. In fact, I really, really love these pieces for doing some collage stamping. There are some pieces in here that work for collage stamping, you'll see today. But these to me are a little bigger and really, really take that look home. Okay, so let me grab what I spilled all over the floor. And let's see. Oh boy, I did a number. So now they're all out of order. Good thing you can't see my butt up in the air. Okay, so let's see. All right, well, let's start with this first announcement. And that is tomorrow is the last day to sign up for the Enduring Beauty Technique Time stamp class. Holy moly, this is a pretty. And I don't have the cards out here with me today, but I have shown them a few times. You can see some sneak peeks on some of the ads I've posted in my socials. But this class is gorgeous. I can't say it enough. And it's all because Stampin' Up! Has this great focal image and a die to match it and stencils. Masks, whatever you might want to call them. You can see mine are well loved and well used. And so you will see that next week. Kits go out in the mail Saturday morning once my registration is closed. The PDF registration, by the way, you guys, never closes. That will always remain open. And that's true for any of my classes. Anyhow, if you want a kit, speak now or forever hold your peace, right? Okay. So, pop this back in the crate that fell. The week after that, I will be upstyling the Delicate Wings Paper Pumpkin. This class is a public class, and this will be in my Seeing Ink Spots page. Okay? So I have a profile, a page, and groups. And so today you're here in the group. This will be in my page so that anybody can join along. Come, invite your friends, and see what projects I'm going to make rearranging the Delicate Wings Paper Pumpkin kit. And I said this is next week. I'm sorry, this is the week after Enduring Beauty. And there is a new set of dies. I have mentioned that. So they're the Thanks and Beyond dies. I believe the number is 164397. Let me check that real quick here. Yeah, 164397. If that's something you're interested in, those are available now. You can get those in my online shop. And if you place an order with me, you can earn class for free. So a $50 order gets you Technique Time free, shipped right to your door. A $75 order gets you Technique Time and Use It Up. So I don't have my Use It Up flyer for May, but I do have my Lifetime of Love flyer. This will be a pickup class in May. This is a sweet, not a sweet, well, it is a sweet collection. I just have the bundle. But this is a bundle that is currently available in the the January to April mini catalog. It is carrying over into the annual catalog, and it is beautiful. So that's going to be a pretty class. And we're back to today. So, okay, now that I've put my whole crate back together, so you've seen this. I'm going to keep these handy so that you can kind of see which stamps I'm using from which set. And I mentioned in the post for this class to pull out your leftovers from March's Technique Time class. And if you'll notice, in March, you had Nature's Sweetness, DSP, which was a specialty DSP. And you also had a stack of inked botanicals. Right now, there's only a few pieces in here because I've been using them to create the class. But I thought I'm going to slip in some papers that are soon to be retiring from the annual catalog. And so I thought, let's use them up. Let's give everybody a chance to use those and have fun with them. So that is what I'm using. And let's just begin with card number 1 today. I am going to use some of those inked botanical papers. And so here they are, looking rather fall. But look at the opposite side. I love the pool party and the Lost Lagoon. You know, this is like my happy, relaxed place. So this is the inspiration for the color palette of our first card. Hello, Denise. Good to see you here. So my first card base is Lost Lagoon, and it is a half sheet of paper, folks. So if you're wanting to stamp along, and maybe you're not using the same set, but maybe you are using something similar, join in. I'm just trying to get the best light in here. That's not, okay, I think that's better to turn off the overhead. Okay, so anyhow, Lost Lagoon and a regular old score line right down the center there. So I'm just going to give that a quick fold. And you know, maybe you're not making full cards today, but pull some stamps out and try some of the techniques. Pull blends out, whatever you might be doing, just to have some fun. I'm going to bring in a piece of scratch paper here to stamp on. Well, let me see if I can find a clean one. That one was all mucked up from last week. This one's kind of mucked up, but that's okay. Okay, so I'm also going to have a circle in here. Now, this is the largest circle from the Everyday Details set of dies. And look at all those cool holes all around here. So these are fabulous. I love using them. I might not use them too much in kits because when you cut out as many kits as I do, that's a lot of little circles to clean up. All right. And I have a couple pieces of white here. One is for stamping, one is for the inside, and one that I've prepped here is going to be for the front of my card. Now, this die cut here is not from the Lovely and Sweet bundle. It is from the Notes of Nature. So let me just kind of point out the differences. The two coordinate together beautifully. There are pluses in both. In the Lovely and Sweet bundle, I love this label. That is the coolest little label. And then, of course, the file tab. Okay? And then all these little flower dies in there. So that's cool. In this one, what's so beautiful and cool is this notebook that gives you that stitched line, and then it also gives you the holes. That is like a primo. You got to love it. And then this big long border die, this leaf that can be clipped, and you can do a lot of things to it. So I am using both sets of dies today, but mostly we're going to lean towards this one. But I am borrowing a little bit from here. So that's where that die came from. If you don't have this, it is not carrying over, okay? But like I say, the two go hand in hand, and if you love the collage style, now is the time. All right, so that's where I got that die. So I've just pre-done it just so you don't have to see me do all of that ahead of time, right? But let me just start doing some stamping here. So my color palette for the first card, like I said, is that happy, relaxed place of Lost Lagoon, Pretty Peacock, Pool Party, and then I'm throwing in a little bit of Petal Pink for a little, just to create some visual depth and interest at the same time. So let's start with the beautiful image of almond, okay? So I can't even, I did look that up, and it's almond. It's the species name for almond. So species, or whatever you're gonna call it, the the official name. Okay, so I'm going to just stamp a little bit of a background here. So we're going to do some more collage stamping with this set. So I've just inked up the whole thing, and I want this whole image to show, and I'm really looking to get the little name down here, the figure B. Is that what that is? Okay, so there's my first image. Pretty, right? Now I'm going to stamp it a little bit more, only this time I'm going to come in from off of the page, just like that. And I think that's about all I'm going to do with that image for now. I'm going to do a little bit more collage style stamping, and this is Pretty Peacock, and I'm going to use this image here. So we didn't stamp with any of these in March's class. So these are now all getting some love. This is a cool little, it's just a fun image, and I'm going to stamp this one so it goes off the page. And I'll do this a couple more times. Let's do one up in here like that. Oops, that one's not quite straight, but that's okay. And then maybe just a little bit right in there. May not even show. And then with this piece here, it's kind of like a piece of screen or net. Kind of just a nice, or it's a grid if you want to say, but it's distressed and it's pretty small. So it's got a nice delicate texture to it. And so I'm going to use this in just a few places. I'm just going to go ahead and add a little there. And so you'll see we're going to be doing this a lot today with kind of the same grouping of images here. And I like what this does. It just softens, because we've got this stark white and then we've got these images, and it just helps to soften that look just a little bit. See that there? And that's what I love about the collage. Okay, so that's it for stamping this piece right here. While my pads are open, I'm going to grab Pretty Peacock. Okay, and you can see I've got a little ink smooshed in the well of the pad. So I'm going to do just a little bit more so that I have nice, strong ink color there. Okay, and I have my water painter. And so I'm going to be splattering everything today, but not with blends. I'm going to kind of be nice to the tips of my blends, and I'm just sloshing around in a little water here. And I'm just going to make a nice, juicy paint here with my, let me get this out of the way so it's not glaring. And I'm just going to tap my water painter. And if I get oops, I didn't want to do that. I had a big drop of water and I didn't want that. But it's okay if it's a big drop of painty colored water, but I don't like it when it's just water. We're going to get to that technique in our last card. So there's Pretty Peacock. And now, oh, the dogs are charging outside. I'm going to do the same thing with a little pool party here. Okay, I'm just sloshing in the water. So I'm really using quite a bit of water. And I think I'm going to rotate just so the splatters hit in a few more areas. Okay, so I'm going to set that aside to dry while we do some more stamping. All right, so I have a piece here, and this isn't a specific measurement, folks. It's just large enough that I can stamp this image here, okay? And I'm going to ink it up in Lost Lagoon. Okay, ink the whole thing up in Lost Lagoon and put it on its back. And I'm going to bring Pretty Peacock in here, and I'm going to use a blending brush. So here's my blending brush for dark greens. And I'm just loading some ink in here. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hit the blossoms, and I'm going to kind of come up the leaves. So at the stem, or at the base of the leaf where it touches the stem, I'm going to kind of work in there. But I still want some Lost Lagoon in here, folks. So I'm not covering the whole thing. And I'm kind of avoiding the almonds. I don't know why. I just chose to do it that way. Okay. And so just stamp that in the middle of your paper. What's beautiful about this stamp set is that it is classic red rubber. Okay, so now what you get is kind of a nice subtle effect of color here. So it's Lost Lagoon, but I do have, hopefully you can see that Pretty Peacock coming through. Okay, so let me just set that out of the way. That out of the way. Whoops, so sorry, folks. Didn't mean to give you a jar like that. And now with this, I'm going to, I gotta kind of move my pads out of the way. Sorry about that. I am going to do a little bit of coloring. And I'm going to use Pool Party. And what I'm going to do, I'm not going to do a ton of coloring. I'm just going to enhance or just kind of work where I added that Pretty Peacock at the base of the leaf. I'm just going to kind of just do some light brushes of color in there, okay? And I forgot to bring, this is my dark, and I wish I had my light. For some reason, I pulled it out of my cart. And this isn't my shopping cart. I have a rolling cart to the side of me. And I'm going to go ahead and kind of give a little down the stems where I can get it. And here's some. And notice that I'm drawing from the center or from the base up. And from the vein, I'm kind of drawing from there. And the reason being is if I draw the minute, and I've mentioned this before, when you put your pen down and draw, see how it leaves that dot right there? I'm trying to disguise that dot within the vein, within the stamping, okay? So that's why I do that. But I'm just giving a little bit of, and I'm just using the nib tip, and I'm just giving just a little bit of color, not a ton. And I'm echoing the veins in here. So you could color the whole leaf in. We've done that. We did it with last month. And the reason we did it last month is because we used the DSP, and the DSP has this image that you can die cut and color. So, okay, same thing, just doing some lines. I kind of like that approach. It's just soft, but it gives it a little bit of color. Okay, so just giving it some color there. And then with a little bit of petal pink, here's my light petal pink. I'm going to color the flowers. And I think you've heard me before. If I leave some white space, I'm okay with that. I'm intentionally not coloring the entire thing in. right to the line. One, I'm allowing the ink to kind of bleed out just a little bit because that's what it does, the nature of the pen. And at the same time, I like to leave a little bit of that white space so that it kind of creates some natural highlights. Now with the dark petal pink, I'm starting from the center of the flower and pulling that color out. And I'm not doing the whole leaf. I'm just mimicking the lines that Stampin' Up! Gave us. Now for the almonds, I'm just gonna brush in a little bit of color here. And this is the dark. Now I'm gonna go back in with the light. And again, I'm not coloring the whole thing. I'm just giving it a hint of color. Okay, just to kind of say what it is, or to give it just a little bit more definition. Keeping it pretty light and breezy, but I can see that I'm kind of choppy right there. That's where I wish I had my light. I don't know why I took it out, just to blend this just a little bit more. Come out just a little bit further. Same thing with this one. Okay, you get the idea. Have some fun with it. Come in, get your Wink of Stella on there. Brush it. Now, the reason I like adding all the Wink of Stella is the Wink of Stella does add a little bit of a, you know, there is some color. It's a light color. It's kind of a, you know, platinum-y gray color, but just kind of adding a little bit of that to help that blend. Now, in the Lovely and Sweet dies, okay, there is a nice, big, huge die here that cuts that image out. It also cuts, there's a sheet of DSP in the Nature Sweetness DSP, which is really cool DSP. It has it's a specialty and it has all this beautiful gold accents in it. Okay, so I just put a little piece of repositionable tape on there just to keep it in place. And I'm gonna run it through the Stampin' Cut Emboss machine here. And now this will be a nice, big focal image that will be great for our card here. This is going in the trash. Okay, I'll put that back on the sheet of dies so I don't lose it. Watch me lose it. Okay, we're gonna go back to this. Now that this one is dry, I got a little wet right there. Oh well. I'm gonna soften that then. I'm bringing in, this is another blending brush. This one is for Pool Party. And so I'm gonna use my Pool Party here. Adding a little Pool Party. And I'm just going to soften this white just a little bit. So splatters and blending. It's a great addition to the whole look, right? Okay. You just want to be sure that your splatters are dry because it'll kind of pick up that wetness and it won't be exactly what you're looking for, unless you're going for that look. To me, if you've got that look happening, you might as well do it and more and call it, you know, that happening is what you wanted. Okay, so this is, I believe this is the Time Worn type, but it's a cool, it's like print with like, it's like it's been, you know, in a, it's, I don't know, like ancient because it's like hidden in rock or something. I don't know. Something in like the ruins. I'm going to run this through an embossing folder. So what I think is really cool is to create a collage and then to emboss it. And it creates another layer to the collage. Okay, so I'm using plate number 1, my folder, hinge first, and number 4 on top. I'm sure you guys all know that drill. But it doesn't hurt to call it out, right? Okay, so look how cool that is. adding that layer of texture in there. Now, another layer of texture. I'm going to take my scissors and snip each of these to make it look like it's come out of the book. Hello, Jacqueline. I'm happy you're here hanging out with me for a few minutes or the whole time. Okay. So I'm just kind of distressing, and we did this in class as well. But you know, once you come up with a good thing, there's no reason why you can't repeat it. Okay, right? So just distress that edge, and there you have it. So now I've created kind of a nice, my own custom background paper for my card base, and that's how we'll start. Oh, you guys, I forgot to unclog my glue before class, but maybe since it was lidded. Oh, look at that. Okay, that's probably all going to come running out. So this is kind of, you know, a classic mat. You can cut it an 1/8 inch smaller, a 1/4 inch smaller, 3/16 actually is what this one is, 3/16. Yeah, I've been doing that lately because I don't want that common, you know, that 1/4 inch that leaves you an 1/8 inch all the way around. So I've been, you know, mixing it up a little bit. Okay, so now I've got this layer here, and this layer is going to come right into here. Yep, we're going to cover everything up. I've also done some die cutting ahead of time. Let me just get my die cut tray. You know me, I like these little trays from the Dollar Tree. And so from one of the pieces of DSP, and you guys have this DSP if you have the kit from last month, that's the back side of it. This is from Inked Botanicals. I have die cut that big leaf border from the Notes of Nature. And I'm going to do a little trim on this. I'm going to trim off the bottom leaf. Okay. And I'm going to trim off these top 3. That one, the tiny one, and that one. So that it fits my project. Just like that. Save that. I'm going to use it. Save this because you'll see we're going to do some more die cutting from it later on. Okay, let's see here. Let's see. So let's start to add some of these. I'm going to put just a little bit of glue, not a bunch, just basically in spots down the center so that the leaves can kind of be free. And that right there is just kind of by not tacking them down so tight and everywhere, that will also create some dimension here. Okay, let me get this way out to the side. Okay, it goes way out to the side here. It is a border. It's not behaving for me quite the way I want it to. Okay, good enough. Awesome. And then this piece here, I want it to have just a little bit of splatter as well. So let me bring my sheet back in here. And let's see, I'm going to splatter this one with Lost Lagoon. Who says it all has to be the same color, right? So let me give it a little more squeeze. So I've used Lost Lagoon, I've used Pretty Peacock, and Pool Party. Now we're going to use a little, here is the Lost Lagoon, I should say. I need a little more water. And we'll just tap. I'm going to rotate. There we go. So that does need to dry. I should have done it sooner. So since I have the ink pads out and we have the scratch paper, let's go ahead and while this is drying, I'm going to stamp my inside layer here. And so my inside layer isn't going to be anything too wild and crazy. I'm going to stamp with this piece here. This was Pretty Peacock, right? Gonna try and get most of that off. I'm gonna stamp it this time with Lost Lagoon. Mixing it up just a little here. just because I want it a little bit lighter for the inside of my card, okay? Because I want, however, it's whatever's written inside to truly stand out. And then let's bring the little mesh piece in here. Mesh, that's a better word. And I'm going to rotate this image so we get a different look. Just right down there on the corner. And I have my blending brush still out. It has Pool Party on it. And I'm just, from off of the page, I am just going to blend the corner only. Just a nice soft look in the corner. Hello, Alicia. Hello, hello. I'm going to go back to my Lost Lagoon here. This little Lost Lagoon. And I'm going to splatter this page as well. And we'll let that one dry. Today we're going to be doing a lot of water splatters. So while that's drying, I can go back to the other piece that I was waiting for it to dry, and that's this one right here. And I think we're good. We can start adding that to our card. Let me get rid of this. And let me see. We're not quite done with ink pads. So we are done with Petal Pink. I'm going to get rid of that one for now. I'm going to get rid of Pool Party for now. We will keep Lost Lagoon and Pretty Peacock out for our greeting. All right, I'm going to glue this layer to my card base. And you noticed I didn't glue the whole thing. You know, it's just going to kind of have some freedom to it. I'm going to bring this down a little bit, like right about there. Okay. And then our big, pretty focal point. Let's put some dimensionals on this. Let's see, we're using up some weird sheets of dimensionals. Some of these paper pumpkin dimensionals. It's all about using it up, right, folks? And it looks like I have a couple pieces here that need to be poked out. Little hanging chads there. Okay, let's add this to our base. And see how that's kind of lifting up because I only glued the center? Hello, free dimensionals. And I'm going to add this piece kind of right down in here. So it's a little lower than the circle because I'm going to be doing some work up here. All right, so that work's going to include that piece of the leaf. And now one of my favorite pieces in the, let me show you the dies one more time. In these dies here, this label right here, I just really, it's so unique. I love the little dashed lines on the top. And let me show you that. I have one pre-cut ahead of time. So this is in Petal Pink, my color for today, one of them. And we're going to ink up the image. And this is from the set here. Look, I've got a dimensional in there. Just sending a bit of love. I'm going to ink it up fully in Lost Lagoon. Okay. And then with Pretty Peacock and my Pretty Peacock blending brush, I'm going to tap the word love. And if it's not just on the word love, I'm not going to worry about it. These are like sister colors. But I'm just trying to emphasize that just a little bit more, just creating a little bit more. And hopefully this is straight. Ooh, it is. It just adds just a touch, you guys. You know, it's subtle, but it's like, oh, that stands out because it is a little bit darker. And that concludes our stamping for our first project. But we are not done. All right, so let's add this to our card. By the way, this image does come from, let me get the right case here. It does come from the Lovely and Sweet set. And it does fit nicely in that label. Okay. All right. So this is going to go on with dimensionals as well. So let's put one up here and I have one left. Then I have to resort to cutting this. So might as well cut it now, right? So let's just trim these all apart so that we can use them up. Good. Now they'll be ready to go. I usually do that. Once I have to go to the edges, I go around and I cut the whole thing. Okay, so this is going to slip inside here, just like so. Make sure it's straight. That's straighter than it was. And we're going to add some, where did that little leaf go? This leaf here, I'm going to glue this one in. And then I have some more die cuts that we're going to add to this to really finish this up and make it super cute. And what's fun about this card is it's kind of springy, you know, even though it's the collage style. With this color palette, it leaves it kind of airy and breezy and relaxy. All right, here's the inside of our card. I'm going to go ahead and let's glue this inside. Then we'll get to all those little fine details. And here's another piece of that inked botanicals. I've pre-cut it to be the size that I need it to be. It's this crushed curry on the back. But again, if you took the Notes of Nature class and ordered a kit, this paper is in that kit for you. So I had a lot of it left over, so I thought we are going to use it up, and I'm going to sneak it in to their kits. Now, speaking of kits, I have to tell you a little bit about May. In fact, I forgot to kind of share that. So at the end of the class, I will share more about May and give a sneak peek for May's class and what is coming up. It's going to be a totally different class than normal, but I think you will very much enjoy it. You'll get a kick out of it for sure. It's going to be pretty. Okay, so here's the inside. I don't typically use a big old piece of DSP on the inside of my card, but when you have a lot of it, rather than having it collect on a shelf or in a file or a box or however you store things, use it up on your cards, right? So there's that. There's the inside is done. Whoops, my leaves. Maybe I do need a little glue on them to hold them down. I'm going to soften that so it doesn't look like horns on a goat. First, I'm going to soften it with a little bit of a linen thread here. And let's see. Well, we're just going to finish. We're using up this whole thing. Using up the linen thread. Linen thread and Wink of Stella and dimensionals. That's what I go through most. Linen thread, Wink of Stella, dimensionals, and liquid glue. Those would be my big purchases that are on a lot of my orders. How about you? Tell me. What's something that you buy repeatedly, if anything? Okay, so I'm just tying a bow. And I'm going to hold my ends, clip them so they're the same length. Okay, so I'm waiting to hear what you guys have to buy multiples of. So pretty. I can't unsee the horns now. You shouldn't have said that. I'll fix the horns in a minute. We'll turn those, that, or I have to turn it a little bit more. Yeah, or clip it or somehow. Or they're dog ears, they're Doberman ears, right? Okay, I'm going to put a little glue dot on the knot, like I normally would. Okay. You can't unsee the horns. I'm sorry, Jacqueline. We don't want a horny card. Couldn't resist the pun. Sorry, folks. Okay. Little glue dot action. And I'm going to reach this just inside here. And I'm actually going to tuck it under there as well. And I'm going to kind of wiggle that knot. Untangle my end here. Okay, so there's my linen thread. It helps to soften and add that, a natural texture in there. And next, I have a whole bunch of leaves and flowers. So, and I'm not going to use a ton of them. Here's another leaf. This little leaf here is from the Lovely and Sweet set. And I just need one of them. Although I die cut several. You never know, right? You just never know. Sometimes your card comes together just a little bit different and it needs another. So there's that leaf there. Let me go to Dacia here. She says white paper, envelopes, dimensionals, glue, Wink of Stella, and linen thread. Okay, yes, I totally forgot about basic white paper. Yep, that goes on to just about every order as well. Envelopes, not as much for me. I do buy them, don't get me wrong. But yes. Okay, so I'm glad I'm not alone. Okay, I have some friends here that do a lot of the same thing. So, okay, now I've die cut myself a whole bunch of these flowers. Denise says ditto. Yep. I mean, I don't know how many of these I've cut. I think I want at least 10. Okay, let's see what we got going here. And what's cool about these flowers is they make great embellishments. And you can cut as many as you want, right? And you're never going to run out. The fun thing is, in class we used these. In March, we added these to our cards. But we didn't do what I'm going to do with them today. And that is to double them up. Okay? So what I mean by doubling them up, I'm going to flip them over so they're all facing the right way. Oh, that's the wrong color. That is Bubble Bath. These are all petal pink, so I don't want any Bubble Bath here. Okay, on these big guys, I am going to go ahead and do just a tiny little drop of glue. Whoops. We'll put that back on later. Tiny little drop of glue to the big ones. Maybe. Every time, even with the lid on, I have to plunge. Hopefully that did it. It's feeling kind of sticky. You know, you can kind of feel when it sticks inside there. Okay, so a little dot of glue on each of these big guys, and then I'm just going to layer the smaller one right on top, and you guys are going to see how cute these are. It just kind of beefs them up a little bit. Gives them a little bit more scale. So we'll just take the putty tip of my take your pick tool. Let me kind of get this more centered. Okay. Put my caps there. Here's my putty tip again. And I am lining up the petals. You can do whatever you guys like. Oh, come on. And there, and there, and I have some more. How many do I need? Oh, you know what I did? I did one double little, 2 littles. Oh, that's Bubble Bath again. Hold on. Sorry, folks. Excuse the delay. There we go. Oh, wait a minute. This guy didn't stick. So that's 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I did 5. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to pick these up just like I did in that other class and give them a little bit of life in the palm of my hand, just like that. Just kind of round them. And what's fun is to separate the petals a little bit if you have the patience for that. I did on my original, but it takes a few minutes to do that. But I do like giving them just a little bit of curl. Yeah, they're sticking to me. Okay, now I'm going to add a little glue to my card here. We're going to fix the horns here. Let's see if we can fix this so it doesn't look like that. Soften that area. So there's oops, that's a rather large blob of glue. Let me get one of my handy tools out here just to take some of that away before it mushes all over the place. And we'll take a flower here and set that right in there. Okay, and let's set another one. Oh, I gotta put glue down first. I'm going to do one here with this and another one here. So we can do a couple at a time. 1 and 2 and 1 down here. like that. And one last one. Oh, I forgot something on my card. Shoot, Queen. And it's cool. It's supposed to have a little bit of stamping on it. Hold on. It's the tab. And the tab die, folks, is from this Lovely and Sweet. It's not part of the Notes of Nature bundle. It's part of the Lovely and Sweet. So we have to use it. And this is the card I use it on. And I'm going to tuck this under the leaves. But I'm going to highlight the label. Just kind of right in there. Okay? And I could tuck it further in, but I'm already glued down in some spots. And this is where I'm going to use one more leaf in here. So I say each card's a little different. I just feel like this one needs it. And I'm going to slip this right down in there, kind of touch it to where the glue will engage. And then a little bit of glue right there. And that flower is going to go there. Now, once I've done that, what I like to do is to go in and just, whoops, that one has like, it has the putty on it. Hold on. Okay, putty's gone. But I do like to just kind of go in there and where the glue was in the center of the flower, I just like to give it a little push just to make sure it's not going to get lost anywhere. Now, to bring these flowers to life, like I say, you can come in and kind of, once the glue is nice and dry, come in and pull these petals up just a little bit. It adds a fun bit of dimension and texture. Okay, so you can see how that kind of gets fun. But I'm not going to do it to all of them. But dang it, I didn't do it to that one. And I am using up my champagne rhinestones. I'm not even sure if these are still available, but I'm using them up because they're the perfect color for this. And just watch how these little tiny rhinestones bring these flowers to life. Everybody say, ooh, ah. Okay, she's in an extra goofy mood today, folks. Excuse me for being a little weird. Okay. But I like it. There you have it. Same thing, I like to go in and just really give them a good push to make sure they're on the card and that they're not going to fall off. And there, folks, is card number 1. Here's the one on the side of me that I was working from. This one you can see I used a little bit more of the blending because I forgot to bring out my light pool party. I just had the dark. But you can see how it's, you know, I've got it darker at the base of the leaf and then I'm thinning it out to a lighter tone of pool party at the end. So I am going to go and do that a little later today. So, and it looks like my pretty peacock was a little more intense on this card. But Marcia, you are so funny. You're my kind of weird. That's funny. I'm glad. You know, I have to say, Marcia, you made my day at on stage in Houston when you said you were waiting to see me and Julie and Kayleen. And it cracked me up. I thought, oh, how sweet. Anyhow, so here is the first card, using the Lovely and Sweet and stamping with this large almond image. Okay, that's number 1. Let's move along to card number 2. Let me bring my bits and pieces. Oh man, I just about dumped them all. Ha ha ha. Just not doing well today when it comes to that sort of thing. Here are my pieces. Okay, so I'm going to start. The cool thing about this card is that we're using a new color here. This is Basic Beige. And let me tell you, this color is, while it's light, it is rich in, it just is luxurious. I think that is a great word for this color. It's not vanilla. It's a little more interesting than vanilla in my silly opinion. Denise says she loves the gems. I like the gems too. So this is a half sheet. So it's 4 1/4 by 11. And I have scored it to make a gatefold, and I don't exactly remember my measurements here. So my first score line is at 3 3/8, and then from the 3 3/8, you're going to move it, I don't know, turn it around and score it, because my thing's not long, at 2 1/8. Anyways, wherever you put it, it doesn't matter. You just need 5.5 inches in here, right? If you're going to make that standard size. So I have my score lines. I'm going to fold inward, and I'm going to burnish these in. Okay. And you'll see. So we are making a gatefold here. Okay, so here is our gatefold, and it's actually going to go this way. It's going to go vertical. This will be a portrait style. I have a tendency to work more in that portrait layout than I do landscape. I like landscape, but I like portrait as a little bit more, I guess. It's just, I'm comfortable there. Where do you guys find you're most comfortable? Portrait or landscape? Where do you like your folds? Do you like to just always make them on the side? Do you make them on the top? Do you like to do a gatefold? What's your preference? I want to hear from you what you like. Okay, so there's that. And then I also have another piece of basic beige, and this is 4 by 5 1/4 that's going to sit on top. And in your Notes of Nature pack, you have a piece of this paper. This is more of the inked botanicals. I'm going to use this side, this leaf, because I kind of felt like it brought out the leaves that are in this set. And right in here, that's the back side of that. We're going to use this side. But I think it's just kind of an interesting mix, because there is yellow in this color here, in this basic beige, but it's a cool yellow, if yellow can be cool. Anyhow, the gray, and there's blue in it that kind of brings it out. So there's that. And then I have some pieces here. I have a scrap of white that I'll be stamping on. I have the largest circle from Stylish Shapes. This would be the #1 image I use of all my die cuts. I use it so much that when I was at my mom's house, and because she's not doing much stamping anymore, I took her set of Stylish Shapes. I now have 2 sets of Stylish Shapes. Don't tell her. Okay, I also use the largest of the banner dies from Stylish Shape, and that's Pool Party, okay? And then I have a 1/4 sheet that's going to go on the inside of my card. So let's do some stamping. Let's do some stamping, folks. And so let's find a piece of scratch paper here. Oh, look, I found a clean one. I told you that I got this whole ream of white cardstock from Amazon, that the corners were bent, and they're like, we're going to refund you, but just keep it. So great. This is what I use it for, because the stuff in the middle wasn't bent, but the ends were. Okay, so here's my first scrap here that I'm going to use, and I'm going to use this big, huge, giant stamp again. I'm going to give it a little bit of a quick clean here, because I am going to use Lost Lagoon again. And I'll bring up the color palette here in just a second. But I want to get that Pretty Peacock off. 1, I don't want Pretty Peacock on this card. And 2, I don't want to contaminate my card. Okay, so this card, we are going to use a new color palette here. Let's see. We're going to use Lost Lagoon. And you're going to see Basic Beige make an appearance here. This is its debut here. Pool Party, because we love it. And we're also going to use Petal Pink. So it's pretty. Try putting these colors together. If you don't have Basic Beige, I would highly suggest on May 1st, or whenever your first order comes at that time, that this be a part of your order. You're going to want Basic Beige, and you're going to want the Basic Beige cardstock. There's also a bolt of Basic Beige ribbon. Oh my goodness, that's hard to say. Basic Beige ribbon. Whew. Kind of a tongue tangler. Okay, so I'm going to start with Lost Lagoon. And I'm going to ink up, basically what I want are these 3 leaves right here. I really like these leaves. So, do you have to use the entire stamp? No. Use what you have and what you want. So I'm just trying to find a spot here. Okay, so there's that. Let me do that again. I want 2 sets of these. just like that. Okay, so I'm going to give this a quick clean because we're going to be stamping it in Petal Pink here in a minute. So let's just give it a good cleaning. And in the meantime, I'm going to bring out Basic Beige, okay? And with my Basic Beige, I'm just going to take an ink block here because I don't want to do it in the lid. And you'll see why in just a minute. Because a block's going to be easier to clean than my lid. So I've just put a little Basic Beige ink onto my block. And I'm going to take my Wink of Stella here. Let me get her going. Okay. And I'm going to pick up a little ink of Wink. And I'm just going to brush, kind of like we just did a minute ago. I'm going to start at the base and I'm going to feather out to the tip. Okay. And this is painting with a little bit of Wink of Stella here. Start at the base of the leaf and just color up. And let me show you how pretty that is. It's, I mean, Basic Beige is kind of the color of Wink of Stella. So, whew, is it pretty? And it's a little different. So just, I mean, you could do this with any color and Wink of Stella. I just find it interesting that the two colors are very similar. Okay. And yes, I do think Wink of Stella has a little bit of color to it. I said that earlier. Okay, so there's that. Let's do the same thing on this one. And of course, you could fussy cut these out, but no, I'm not. I'm gonna die cut them. Just because you're not using the whole thing, you know, you can use your dies and do a partial cut. We should time it though. How long does it take to just fussy cut it? How long would it take to run it through the die cut machine? Okay. So again, start at the base of that leaf and then feather it out as you're painting. Okay, now this is going to be much easier to clean off the block. I just didn't want to put Wink of Stella in the lid of my Basic Beige, and it's brand new. I'm like, I didn't want to squeeze it. It's still so pretty. Do you guys do that? Okay, so let's go back to that big fancy die. Let's see, what did I do with it? I actually put it back on the magnet sheet. Okay, so, and I'm going to chop this in half, just in case I have to get to a weird angle. And I am going to take my tape off just so I can see what I'm doing. But align that, put a little tape on it, and run it through. Have to rearrange all my plates. Last time we used the Stampin' Cut Emboss machine, I embossed. So just quickly putting all my plates back in place. So here comes the one. Okay, and then I'll just do a real fast finish. Okay, easiest fussy cut I've ever done. There's one. So now let's do it all over again. Usually I have these sorts of things done ahead of time, but I didn't this time. Hello, Kayleen. You missed it. I just painted with Wink of Stella and Basic Beige. It was really pretty. You can kind of see it in this one here. In person, it's gorgeous. And I'll show you how it really picks up the Basic Beige paper. That, there's that. And we'll do the same little fussy cut we just did. It probably wouldn't show, but I'm still gonna do it just to get it out of the way. Okay, so there is that color. And you guys, it shimmers. I wish you could see the shimmer, but let me pull in some Basic Beige paper here. Look how pretty that is. Okay, so, and this piece of paper, so we've got some stamping done. We're gonna do some more stamping. We're gonna collage stamp on color here rather than on white. So here is Basic Beige ink, and I'm going to use the Magnolia image. Nah, it's not Magnolia, it's Vanilla. All right, magnolia, vanilla, not even the same. We're not going to use this flower so much, but I do want to point out that the flower on vanilla is 5-petaled. And so there are the 5 petals, and then there's the 2 leaves underneath. Sometimes I look at that and I see that leaf as part of the flower, but it's not. Just FYI. Sometimes we have to do a little research when we're stamping, right? So that we know, do we want to color it in our own way, or are we going to try and be a little bit more natural and correct? Okay, so I'm just stamping 3 of these vanilla images on Basic Beige with Basic Beige. Now, when you stamp with Basic Beige, the first time you stamp with it, you'll see that it kind of has a river rock color to it, but when it dries a lot lighter and it doesn't have that green cast to it. All right, next color. Let's go in with a little petal pink, and I'm going to use the big guy here for leaves, since we're going to use the leaves in our focal image. So I'm just cleaning up that Lost Lagoon, and I'm going to ink up pretty much the front half of the stamp, the top half, and I'm just going to kind of lay some. That's the beautiful thing about collage stamping, is it doesn't have to be like totally. So I've hit those corners, and now maybe change the angle and hit the side. So just laying down some color and some, stamped images. That was Petal Pink. And now the Field, Lawn, and Garden. Okay, cleaning this one up. And I'm going to stamp this in Pool Party. Okay, these are all fairly pale colors on this Basic Beige, so it's very muted and pretty. So it says Field, Lawn, and Garden. I can't tell you, I kind of combine that F with the lawn, and it's Flawn and Garden, because I wanted some flawn the other day. But they were out at the local El Mariachi, our little Mexican restaurant here in Star. I'm like, what? And now I was jonesing for it and couldn't get it. I'm going to move this one over just a little bit, right there. Okay, so I've got 3 of those on. And let's go to the mesh image. And I'm going to do the mesh in Petal Pink as well. Is that what color it was? Yeah. Just light. And I'm just going to, it's kind of like in the Notes of Nature class, we used the splatter image to kind of fill things in. And so that's what I'm going to do here, is bridge, and it's light, but it bridges these items. It's almost like I want to connect everything, and I'm going to connect everything by bridging with this mesh image. Hopefully that makes some kind of sense. We'll do a little right there and up over here, but just add it here and there and where you like it. Okay. And because it's so light, I don't think you can really make a mistake. I feel like, do I need something in here once we get everything else going? Maybe I'm going to do just a little bit more. I'm going to do the vanilla beans so that maybe we have this just a little bit more right up in. Okay, nice. Slightly different than my original, but I'm going to close my pads for now, just because we don't want those moments where you accidentally set your card in an open pad. It's always a bummer. Okay, now I'm going to bring this over, and I'm going to bring my card base, and this is going to go on the front. And you could do it as a solid piece and then open it up, or in my original, I actually cut it. Good morning, Terry. And so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do just a tiny pencil mark right where I need to cut it. And we're going to chop this in half. Okay. Let's see here. Here's my trimmer. So I'm just going to find that little tick mark there. Put it in the trimmer. Whoops, that's a scoring blade. I need to reverse that. It's driving me crazy. Okay. And now these are going to glue on, and so it truly is a gatefold. Okay. So let's glue these in place. Okay. So Terry, I've asked a few questions today and people have answered, but I said, what do you seem to order a lot of? Because I was talking about Wink of Stella and linen thread. Are there items that you use often and have to replace often? Okay, so we want to hear from you. I do. Here's another question for you. Are there things that are like to me, there are some semi-consumable products out there, like a Stampin' Blend. Like I might have them, but you've seen my daffodil blend. You've seen my old olive blends. They're mushed. And so sometimes, you know, while it's not a consumable item, it's a semi-consumable. Green cap glue. That's right, I do. Bonus points. Does anybody know the number offhand? I believe I do. Kayleen, green glue, glue dots, dimensionals. Yep. You don't order a whole bunch of Wink of Stellas like me. I found a stash. I cleaned a drawer and I found a whole stash of Wink of Stella. I'm like, oh, like 4 of them. I was like in 7th heaven. Okay. So, this is going to be in our card mix here. This is going to be in our card mix, and we're going to make a belly band out of this piece here. All right, so this is, because I've used the other half for my original card here, this is 3 by 6. So I'm just going to cut this down the center so that I have 2 pieces that are 1.5 by 6. Okay, so there's my 1.5 by 6s. And I'm going to put this piece kind of right there on the end. Okay, so this is going to be a belly band around this card. I'm going to bend that around, and then I'm going to put a little glue here. A little glue. We'll take this piece, and it's going to come around. Okay, I'm just gluing that one on. Got to wait just a second or two. Wink is still on back order. No, it is not. It's off. I ordered one the other day. It is back in the house. Officially. And then this one, we'll wrap this one around. Awesome, Kayleen. Okay. It's just pretty. Pretty, right? Okay, and so that one's going to go around there. So what I've done, typically I will hide my belly bands in the center so you don't see it. But if I hit this one around because it's 6 inches long, I had 2 6-inch long pieces, I would have one in front and back. So at least I'm hiding them on the side and you won't see them quite as much. So that's how I'm disguising my belly band for this one. Or I'm sorry, my seams for this belly band. That's what I meant to say. Okay, so bring this around. Okay, so I'm not hearing answers when I ask the question about, are you typically designing portrait style cards or landscape oriented cards? What's your preference? Top fold, side fold, gate fold, fancy fold? Okay, so there's my belly band. And I'm just going to wait just a couple more seconds for that to set up. And then give it a test run. Make sure it's not too tight. It's a little tight, so hopefully I can loosen. There it goes. Okay, so let me get it back up in place. So it is, you could do it in the center, but I like things a little off balance. Top fold. Okay, Terry says top fold. So Terry, why do you like top folds? Just out of curiosity. I know why I like top folds, but why do you like top folds? Okay, this piece here, I'm just going to glue right to the center of my belly band. Just like that. Keeping this centered. Kim, hello. Hello, hello. Okay, Kim, what time is it in England? It's 11:10 here in Idaho, in the United States. Just curious. I have to count. I'm like, how many hours ahead are they? 7, 8? So this is some of the Baker's Twine 3-color pack. And this is kind of a flirty flamingo color here. And I am going to take this and wrap it around twice. Okay, so we'll go 2 times around. Jacqueline tends to do more portrait. I'm with Jacqueline. Kim, it's 6:11 in the UK. It's easy on the eyes for Terry. That's why she likes the top folds. So Kayleen says top folds because you can tie ribbon or twine around the card easier. Yeah, especially if you want to do it up towards the top. Yeah. But I have my tricks for when I have the fold in the wrong direction and I want to put twine around it. I'm like, oh man, I do a little tiny hole and it seems to work out great. Okay, so notice that I'm remembering to sandwich my ribbon or twine here. Usually I forget. So I'm just going to tie, and I'm going to tie this in a knot just so it's easier to tie my bow because it's not going to show. But I'll be here all night. Just kidding. Did you guys even catch my horrible pun? Okay. There is my bow. I'm just going to leave it kind of like that and design right around it. My tag here. Okay, color palette. We're going to do a new color palette. Not totally new, but I am going to bring in another color for the greeting. I don't usually do that, but I'm going to bring in a little pecan pie. Okay, and I'm going to stamp my greeting in pecan pie. And it might not work for this card because I don't have any more of the cork rounds, but maybe I do. Maybe I'll have to go find some. The reason I used the pecan pie is because on my original, I used the cork rounds and I put the cork rounds on and liked it, but I thought, oh, the greeting needs to be, it was Lost Lagoon, and then I'm like, it needs to be the pecan pie to pick up the cork rounds. All right, stamp-wise. Okay, this image here, just a little note to say hello. This is actually from the Notes of Nature bundle, the stamp set. And I told you I'd make a cameo roll. So here's a cameo roll coming in with this one. I just wanted a different greeting than what was in the set. And hello, this is just going to go right in the center of this banner. Just like that. Beautiful. Okay. And I'm not going to put any dimensionals on this. I'm going to do all of my dimensionals on here. Okay. Because I need to be able to see where things are going to go. So I'm going to lay this out. That's going to go there. And then our leaves that we painted with a mix of Wink of Stella and Basic Beige ink, they're going to come into here and right in here. So they're kind of counterbalancing one another. So I'm going to just go ahead and get these put into place now. So let me just take this off and I'm going to put a dimensional on the back of this leaf. I'm just going to do a small one here, right there. Okay. Yeah, it does. It depends on the design and the stamps. Oh yeah. But I have a tendency, Kayleen, to do a lot more portrait layouts than I do landscape. Okay, so I'm just kind of remembering where this is going to go, right about there. And the reason I didn't do dimensionals on the whole thing, I can reach in there and put another dimensional later, but I'm going to be tucking other elements in there. And so I just want it to be easy enough to get to. And I say that and then I grab a really big dimensional. Yeah, you do more portrait, Kayleen? Yeah. Oops, I think I want this to be down just a little further. Yeah, that's exactly where I want it. Okay, now I feel like I can come in here and add this, but I'm going to add my dimensionals. I'm going to use these narrower ones, and I'm going to kind of, whoops, I didn't mean to do that. Oh, well, I guess it's in the right spot. I'm going to kind of straddle the twine, and then I'll do just a little bit right down in here. And the reason I'm doing that is I'm trying not to have lopsided bulk, if you know what I mean. So I just don't want any of my dimensionals to bump into another dimensional and accidentally have it lopsided somewhere. I'm like, why is this card not laying flat? And it's because there might be a dimensional in the wrong spot. Okay, now I'm just going to center this. See, I do some stuff centered, but notice that all of the decor is offset to the left. Okay, folks, I have a very dry throat, so excuse me for 2 seconds. Sorry about that. Ooh, I needed to wet my whistle. Oh, I'm such a geek. Okay, so now I think this is beautiful the way it is. We could leave it that way, but I do have some die cuts here ready to go for this card. Let's see what I have. I've got a bunch of things, actually. I'm probably not going to use much of it, but I die cut. Look at these beautiful leaves. This die, this leaf, is actually from the Notes of Nature dies, but I die cut it from, and you have this from your last month's kit. You had a whole 6x6 that we never touched, but look how pretty this leaf is. You know, you don't even notice what the pattern is because it's such a detailed die, but I love the white and the gold. So we're going to tuck these in here for sure, for sure. Something like this. Okay. And I've got some flowers and some other things die cut. And I've got some stuff cut in Flirty Flamingo, Calypso Coral, because we've got Calypso Coral here. But as I add the Calypso Coral, it starts to, Terry, I'm fun and very talented. No, I'm kind of quirky, weird. But as I added the Calypso Coral yesterday, I got it done, turned around and came back to it and went boink, and I plucked it all out. And I'm like, oh, I like it better without the Calypso Coral. One, because you know it's not my favorite color. And two, it just didn't need it. But I am going to do just a little bit of this crushed curry. This die is from the Lovely and Sweet. So I tuck a little in here. It's just a little to bring out what's in that belly band there. And then I'm just going to do like 3 flowers, like one there. And these are Flirty Flamingo. I had Calypso Coral at first, and I'm like, oh no, it was too much. It was just taking away from things. So I pulled out the Calypso Coral and did a little Flirty Flamingo action. Okay. And then I'm going to do one that tucks kind of down in there. So I've kind of got my 3 working. So that's what we're going for. You could add more. You could add less. It just truly depends on whatever you want to do. So let's just quickly kind of glue these into place. I'm going to use my precision tip. Kayleen, let's see. I really like how you've been doing this with the leaves being cut out of the pat. Yeah. Well, and I'm going to do it on our last card too, Kayleen. I think that the name of the game is don't be afraid of DSP. You know, even if it's busy, just die cut. Yeah, because that's right. I did do it a lot last week too, didn't I? Let me get that down in there a little further. So a little bit of that gold peeking through. Yes, the flowers just finished it. And you could double up the flowers like I kind of did on that first card, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to just get her done. A little bit of that crushed curry peeking through. And we'll do just a little dot right up in here. And I am going to go ahead and just give them that little palm of my hand curl, just like we did. I need my little pokey tool here. This is my favorite tool. I like Take Your Pick, but Stampin' Up! Used to sell this. This is a knockoff version. I do have the Stampin' Up! One around here somewhere. I just like a good old hobby blade. It just is easy to pull out of the cupboard for me. All right, I am going to do one over here on the edge, kind of to counterbalance that one, but not straight down from it. I'm going to angle it off to the side here just a little bit. Just like that. Now let's glue this side in. And we'll zhuzh it with, guess what? A little wink and some more gems. Tuck this one in here. I do like this little burst of crushed curry in here. It does bring out the belly band. And it also, I think it also kind of just brings out the gold as well. So I'm going to tuck this flower down in here. I just don't want it to be too in your face. Just right down there. Let me get it to touch the glue. And on my original, let me show you my original. We're ever so slightly different, but not much. See how I use the cork rounds? I'm gonna have to go dig out some more cork rounds. These were the ones from your kit. These were what you had, like 4 or 5 leftovers. So here's some of that. That's why I switched to the pecan greeting, because I felt it brought out the cork rounds. So, but you'll notice I added those champagnes to the centers of my flowers. So in the spirit of using it up, let's add some of these to the card. And then I'm going to do a little splatter knocking with Wink of Stella. Okay. Voila. Take those out of the way. Here she is, folks. Let me get her kind of primed. And you kind of got to get it going just a little bit more. But so just kind of knocking the side of the lid rather than doing the inside and the flicking of the bristles. And just like that, she glistens and glimmers and glows. Such a pretty one. I like the way this one turned out better than this one. So we'll show you this one. But we need to slide this belly band off if I can do it. Got my belly band a little tight. And let's do a little bit of decor for the inside of this. Let me just show you. Let me take this one off, this belly band. And, ooh, I did quite a bit. I did a little splatter action, some stamping. But I do want to do it just because if I don't do it now, I might not get it done. I might not wait for the whole thing to dry and put it inside. But let's stamp it and splatter it because I want to show this this vanilla image a few more times here. Thanks, folks, for the hearts and for the comments. Appreciate it. How many of you, just curiosity, do you like to do some collage stamping? I haven't done much of it because Stampin' Up! Hasn't really had stamp sets that to me have fit that style or this style for a while. So I haven't done as much. So I'm just repeating my colors from the front to the inside. So here's the Flawn and Garden. This image here, we'll use it a couple times, just kind of right up in there. And I am using it, I mean, I guess I could, but I've pretty much have been using this either straight up and down or sideways. To me, there has to be some while it kind of looks like random or chaotic stamping, there has to be some assemblance in the process of collage stamping. I think there needs to be just You've got to mellow out the chaos, I guess is what I'm trying to get at. There's that. Ooh, I'm not leaving a whole lot of room for tapping or writing, but there's that floral of the almond. And then let's bridge just like we have been with our little mesh image. And so just kind of, man, it's amazing what this or a splatter stamp does just to kind of soften all of this. Okay, so there's my stamping. Okay. Kim says she's not that good at collage stamping, but I am being super inspired now. Kim, I have, and I told you this the other day, I have so much faith in your stamping. You would be brilliant at it. You would just, yes, I'm sure you would be awesome. Everybody, we all have those skills. Okay, so I'm going to take Pool Party, I think, since that's a pad that I pulled to splatter this one. And I'm just getting the ink good and juicy. I'm going to take these out of the way so they don't get splattered. And whoa, hopefully that dries lighter. It's got a good bit of splatter. And I even did some splatter knocking on the side of the barrel there. And so I'm going to let that dry, and I would glue it to the inside of my card base, just like you saw. And then let me bring well, here's the original. There's the original. No, that's today's. And then this one actually goes on here, and this one was on here, but I'll let that one dry. So there is card number 2. Card number 2. All right. For those of you, I'm not going to I don't want to gush on Kim here, but Kim and I are in the same group on the Artisan Design team. We're in group 3. So we have little conversations back and forth here and again. So it's been fun to get to know Kim better than I knew her before. But everybody's got, I think, some amazing stamping skills out there. Okay, so that was card number 2. Card number 3 is by far my favorite. I don't know, you guys might be going, well, she's crazy if she thinks that's her favorite, but whatever. This was totally, I cased a PDF that we got from Stampin' Up. If you attended the after hours stamping, I cased one of the cards from that additional PDF. So let me show you what we're going to do here. We're going to make another card. This time we're going to use Petal Pink. It's a half sheet, and it's going to be a side fold, okay? But it is going to go portrait, since that's been our discussion of the day, or one of them. So, half sheet of Petal Pink, and I have some scrap of white. I have a piece of a quarter sheet here. This is going to be from my card front, and it already has some splatters because it was sitting out yesterday when I was splattering another one. So good. All right, well, we're going to use it. It's going to get more action done on it. This one's going to be for a little bit of stamping, but you can see I already die cut myself one of the everyday, is it Everyday Essentials? Everyday dies? I don't remember. Anyways, it's a new one from the January to April mini. So that's where this one came from. Hello, Karen. I hope you go back and watch the replay because I've already done 2 cards, or at least pick up on the pictures. I'll post pictures later today or tomorrow. Anyhow, so die cut a circle, stamping. That's what you're going to need. Also, I have some things. So from this piece of DSP that was in your Notes of Nature kit, this piece here, I have die cut 2 of these leaves. So I'm going to use those. I've die cut myself a basic beige label. So this is that cool label from the Lovely and Sweet. And from the Notes of Nature, this die here is actually from the other set in the Sweet. Look, I'm getting ink on me. And these are Old Olive. Okay, so we're gonna change up our colors here. We're gonna do kind of a green and pink. And you guys, making a cameo appearance, Paper Florist dies. This is just one sheet of the dies. There's another one underneath. We're going to use this one right here. Why this is not carrying over is crazy. But if you don't have the Paper Florist dies, may I highly suggest finding them before they're not available. Yes, so Kim says, what a beautiful color the basic beige is. You want to paint your walls with it. It is a pretty color. It is a really pretty color. I was talking about it at the beginning. It's so, it's rich. I called it luxurious. So anyhow, all right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to stamp with this image here. This is the cocoa. This is the cocoa bean. And I'll tell you, I like the leaf, and so that's what I'm going to use today, the leaves. The beans, they're cool, but they're so big, and they just kind of, they take over. And so I don't want stuff to take over. Okay, and I'm going to stamp it in Lost Lagoon, not Pool Party. All right, so what is my color combination for this card? It is going to be Lost Lagoon, ooh, basic beige, it's open, and petal pink, and garden green, and old olive. So we're switching up just a little bit, pulling in a few other colors here. But yes, the Paper Florist die set should at least go into the online exclusives. Maybe they feel like they've just sold enough of them. I don't know. But I'm sure going to miss them because I like them a lot. Okay, I'm just going to stamp the whole thing. But I am going to be using just the leaves. So there is a die for this in this set. Here's the die. Let me just grab a little piece of tape here. And we're going to cut this out. We're going to die cut this. I'm not going to do really anything to it because it's going to be on a lower layer within the card. So it's not going to show a whole lot. Okay, here we go. And that's the only stamping and die cutting that I'm going to do. Okay, we'll just get that out of the way. But I am going to kind of cut this apart a little bit. Because like I say, I don't want the beans. Okay, I was going to call them nuts. Maybe that's why I don't like them. Okay. Okay, here, just kind of coming in and around. And I'm just going to just take these right off. But I'm going to pretend like this is the stem of my flower. So that's what I want. These are going away. Okay. Yes, I agree. You're going to, well, the cool thing is, I know we always say, oh, I'm going to miss it. Why? But just because it's retired doesn't mean we can't use it, which is one reason why I did use it today, was to show the beauty of the suite. You know, it's a mega suite. So when you've got the stamps and dies, you've got two of them, you know, how do they go together? Okay, so there's some of our stamping, yada, yada, yada. Too much chatting, just get on with the stamping. Okay, this piece here. We're going to do more of our collage stamping. I'm going to use the big, huge, the pretty mama here. And I'm going to use garden green on this one. Okay, I got to move some pads. I got open pads all over my countertop here. Okay, so this is garden green, and I'm using the almond image. And I'm going to just use, I'm inking up the whole thing. Again, I mentioned that this card is a case of one of the PDF projects from the After Hours. Okay, so there's that. And yeah, I caught a little bit right there, but you can't really tell what it was. But I didn't want the writing to be sideways, which is why I was trying to make sure it was cut off. Okay, so there's that image. Okay, and now let's see here. I'm going to do, and I've got to be careful how I do this, because I don't really want to get the words or much of that. So maybe what I'll do is clean this and only ink up a portion of it, so that I want the leaves, but I don't want the beans, okay? And so I'm going to do these in Old Olive. Actually, I'm going to do it in Lost Lagoon. I'm going to do one of these images in Lost Lagoon here. And I'm looking to just get the leaves. If I get a little bit of the other, that's okay. I just don't want too much. And I definitely don't want the words. Okay, I just need to make sure that I got the leaf entirely. Okay, I think I got it. Okay, so these are just going to kind of come down here like this. Okay, and not to worry about that because I'm going to cover it up. You're not even going to notice. And I've got other stuff coming in here, so that will get covered up as well. And I'm going to do another cameo appearance from Notes of Nature. This is the beautiful leaf image in that set. And this one's going to be Old Olive. So I'm just going to have a nice, beautiful leaf coming out over here, just like that. And again, this is in that area. And then this label is going to come over here. So some of that weirdness is going to get covered, not to worry, right? Plus, we're going to have all kinds of dies in there. Now, let's do a little, that's kind of our focal stamping. Let's do a little more texturizing with the pieces from the set here. I'm going to use the Lawn and Garden. And I'm going to use the mesh image. I'm just giving them all a quick clean here. And that is it, just these two. I'm just looking at my original here. Okay, so back to the gorgeous basic, oh my gosh, basic beige. That is a definite tongue tangler. Okay, again, I'm using this image either straight across or perpendicular. And I'm going to kind of come in here once. And we'll do another one right over in here. And I'm going to turn my paper. And we'll do one kind of horizontally, that direction. And I think that's going to be it on that. And now for the mesh image, I'm going to use Petal Pink. I agree, Kayleen. So on the first card that I showed, I did use those two of the dies from that set. So, and I'll show it in a minute again here when I finish up the class. Lots to show you at the end of class. Okay, so here's that mesh image again that kind of bridges. See how I just bridged this leaf image to the field, lawn, and garden. I like fawn better. Okay, so I'm just kind of softening these pieces here just a little bit. We'll come off the page a little. And I think I'm going to do one more right in here. Up in here. Okay, there it is. Now, I'm going to take my other things and kind of set them aside because this next step, we're going to get a little bit messy. And I'm going to be using water. Okay, so first things first, I am going to use water and I'm going to use basic beige for this one. And so because I didn't want to squeeze the inside, I'm just going to use another block. Just grab a little ink from your, okay, I've ran that through, gotten it kind of juicy. And I'm going to splatter with the basic beige. Okay, now I got a big drop of water right there, and that's okay. Because next what I'm going to do, let me clean the back of my block. What I'm going to do is I'm going to close up my ink pad here. In fact, I'm going to close up a bunch of them here before we have a wreck. The only thing I need open still is going to be Garden Green. I'm going to do my greeting in Garden Green. And I should have told you, this is going to be a sympathy card, or just when you need to send something nice. The colors on it are pretty cool. I mean, they're soft and gentle. All right, so I am intentionally splattering this with big old blobs of plain old water. And that is how I am going to color my images for this card. And I'm trying to aim for, see how that one's bleeding out? That is, you know, when you don't want to get like water on anything, we're going for it big time. And all of my big splattered is coming in the wrong spot. So I guess I'll just come back a little bit. Okay, so now I'm gonna have to wait for this to dry. It's gonna take a little bit. But let me just set that aside. And it will be cool here in just a minute. I'm just gonna use my sweatshirt to dry my... Okay, I told you I was using Paper Florist. This is one of my favorite dyes right here, these two together. If you attended my Paper Florist camp, that was a couple camps ago, right? But was it a couple or was it... It was a couple yeah, because we've had one since then. But we did this technique then, and that is to take, and it works great with any colors. I'm using my light petal pink. Again, I'm starting in the center of the flower and drawing, almost like I'm drawing spokes, okay? And I'm drawing longer lines straight out from the center so that that dot, when you put the nib down, is hidden in the center of the flower. Let's do the same thing on the small. And just keep rotating it around. I missed one. And you can do as much or as little. Just do what you like. So I've done that with the light and now with the dark. Now my strokes, I'm going to start from the center. I'm going to do fewer and shorter. Okay, just to create some dimension. And that's the beautiful thing with the blends, is it's getting us some... I also find I have to go a little slower. Okay, there's that. Now this one. And in real life, I hope you try this technique. It is really pretty. And again, I've left a lot of white space on my flowers. And I'm going to layer these. So there's my precision glue blob. And then just spin this to the direction that you like. There's no right or wrong. So we'll just kind of glue that in place. Got a little over splatter, or not splatter, but over eking out. We've got some glue. Let's go back to using up those champagne rhinestones, right? And so we'll put that one right there. And once it's kind of set up, I like to do the same thing we did on some of those other flowers, and that is just to give this, bend these petals up, give it a little bit of dimension, a little life. You know what? Because I didn't put my other card back together, we didn't finish gemming it. Oh well, I'll do it later. Okay, let's see how we're doing with our drying. We're still not dry. And the thing is, you don't want to pat things dry because you'll smear it. You want the drops to dry, but we're getting close. But you can see what I've done is I've just colored, and I didn't get too much over here, which is a bummer. But that's how I wanted to kind of color it, is just with a little bit of bleeding with the water. Okay, so let's hopefully see if we can, I can kill just a few more seconds. Let's stamp our greeting here. We're going to use the So Sorry. This is from the Notes of Nature bundle. Lovely and Sweet. Boy, I really made it hard on myself. Lovely and Sweet. And the label is from Lovely and Sweet, and we'll just set this right in the center. So sorry. Okay, so that is ready. Let's bring this over. We can get getting to build some of this. Okay, with this piece here, I'm going to add this with dimensionals. Let's see, where's that funny little sheet? We're using up this kind of sheet that we've been working with. Using them up. And this is going to just kind of set. So this is the top. I know you're going, what? She's got that in the wrong direction. Well, it's okay. It's the right direction for me. And I'm the boss of the card. Okay, so I put a mini on mine. Okay, And we'll just flip this right into this. So it's going to set just like that. So the new beige is part of the neutrals, or is it part of the basics? I don't know. I can't keep track. I mean, some colors that started out as a regal are now a bright, and oh boy, I just haven't kept track of them all. Okay, I think this is probably dry enough that I can glue it to my card base. And I'm not going to trim it down. You could if you want, but sometimes I just like to have a white card, right? Is it too big? Nope, it's pretty good. It's not gonna hang over. So since that's wet, I'm gonna go ahead and just put my glue on here. Okay, green cap glue. I'm glad we know what we're talking about when we say green cap. Who calls it its official name? I don't. It's far too long. Okay. So when that dries, it's a little bit bumpy right now, but it's kind of a cool look. It's different, but I like it. I like it. All right, this is gonna go on with dimensionals. Let's use up this funny little sheet. Like I found it was like stuck under something. I'm like, oh, dimensionals, I'll use those. Okay. This is going to kind of cover up some of that. It's going to come over here this way just a little bit. Okay. This is going to come into play right about, sorry, it goes over. It's going to go right there. So I'm going to put that on with one dimensional. Oops, that one's too long. Let me use this one. So one, because this one's already up. But before I do that, here's my twine. Hopefully I have enough of the white here for at least one last bow. It's gonna be tight. Look at that, using up some linen thread, using up some twine here. So I'm just gonna do a twine. This is cotton. To me, it's a little harder to work with. The linen thread is so easy. This stuff sometimes gets twisted and does weird things. Like make an ugly bow. Hold on, I gotta get it a little more centered because I want some, I guess I might be able to put Flirty Flamingo in there. It might be a little strong though, especially for like a sympathy card. What inspires my mind? I don't know. I tell you, I was like stumped for something yesterday, and I know this sounds really weird. I'm like, what to do? What would be different? And I got in the shower, and the idea came. And so I drew it on my shower wall with a little steam action, you know. But that's often where my creative brain starts working, is in the shower. Okay, so I'm going to do just a little bit of Seal Plus. You could use a glue dot or Seal Plus. I wish this were just a little bit bigger, but it's going to have to do. Now let's put this guy on. Where do you guys find inspiration? Oops, this may need another dimensional. I'm higher. Oh, I know why. I did something. Let me just backtrack a little here. You're like, well, you're backtracking a long way. I know what I did different, and I really like how it turned out. So I'm going to take it apart and do it again. Okay, so I don't want this dimensional here. This is what I did on my original. I want the center of my leaves to be down, but I want the tips to be up. So this is what I did, is I just did dimensionals. I now remembered, I'm like, why is my greeting lopsided? Okay, now let me bring that back in so that this part is low and these are up a little higher. That's what I did. Now my greeting is not lopsided. And I'm not going to reach glue in there just yet. I might, but for right now, I'm going to just leave it alone because I have all those die cuts that I want to bring in and bring this to life. Okay, so keeping it simple, I'm going to tuck this one, and yes, I'm going to go on top of my stamped image. That one's going to go right in there, so let's just go ahead and give it a quick glue. And I'm going to glue the stem. Sometimes I will glue the front of the stem so that it'll attach with the side, you know, that it's kind of gluing to, but that's flat, so it doesn't matter. Yes, white linen thread would be beautiful. I did watch, there was a video yesterday that Shannon West and Elizabeth Belleville did, and they were showing they were kind of giving a sneak peek at the Creativity Now items that as a demonstrator, so anybody can be a demonstrator, right? But, and the beauty is we see things, you know, a little sooner than everybody else, but we have an event coming up in June called Creativity Now. Like I say, you all are invited if you wanted to go. Just be a demonstrator. It's fun. Anyhow, they showed the suite collection that they'll be stamping with for that event. And it has a pack, a 3-pack, a combo pack of linen thread. And I can't remember the colors, but navy blue was one of them. There was a green, and was there a red or kind of a rust color? I don't know. Oh, yes. Yeah, Kim. The essentials I like, but I'm just not a huge fan of the cotton. I prefer the linen thread. It has, you know, it can take direction and it styles better than the other. The other just kind of sits a little limp and flat. Okay, the last thing I'm going to do is kind of pick up on our champagne dot there, and let's do a few more. I'm going to do like 5 more. Why not, right? So here's a medium. I only had one medium left. But I'm going to do a medium kind of right in here. And let's do some smalls. Like here. That's right. It can curl or go straight. I agree. And I lean to the curl. I wonder why. And we'll do a couple over here. Like so. So we've got 1, 2, 3. Oh, this one's a little low. Let go. And I'm just going to reverse that right up to there. There we go. And then last but not least, let's bring her back and splatter by knocking on the side. Oh, it's a good juicy one. So there is that. And the only reason this baker's twine is curling is because it was the last little bit on the roll there. Liz, the linen thread is navy, looks like olive green, and then pecan pie. Yes, I am. I'm excited it's linen thread. I agree. The Creativity Now suite is winterly. I can't remember. It will be in the September to December catalog. It's a bird set, but the dies with it are super cool. Oops. Doesn't look like I secured my linen thread in here very well. But this one, my original, has the linen thread, and then this one here is the white baker's twine. So, this is I've got to glue that down better. Look, my linen thread came right out, but it does go in there. It wasn't secured. But so here is today's class. So we've done just a pretty sympathy card, doing some weird watercoloring with just, you know, splattering it with water and letting it do its thing. Our second card, we need to kind of put these together. But this one, we've got the belly band and has the cork rounds. I'm going to need to go find my cork rounds so that I can finish the front of this one here. Super pretty. And then we have our first card that we did with some more blending and whatnot. So there is today's class. I hope you have enjoyed it. I certainly have enjoyed doing some collage stamping, stuff that we haven't done in a long, long time. But I want to share with you what I have planned for May. And May's class is going to be entirely different than any other class I've done. And we are going to be using the Frames and Flowers 12 by 12 Specialty Designer Series paper. And this class is going to include the entire pack of paper because it is a specialty pack, and I've been using mine. It's a little different than any other. I've got like a stray flower here. There is a sheet. In fact, the first two sheets are all these cool die cuts. And you can see I have a few extra die cuts in here. But there are wreaths of all sorts. All right, all these cool backgrounds. There's leaves, there's flowers, there's boughs, there's just gorgeousness in this pack of paper. So we are going to be using that for class. And also there are 3 sheets of Designer Series paper in them. This is one side. Here's the other. Ooh, so pretty. There's a sheet of frames. And they're all, you don't have to cut. They're all laser cut and ready to go. So we'll be using these as well. We're going to use almost the whole pack. So when I say almost the whole pack, that's because we're not making just 3 cards. We're going to do 3 advanced Artfully Avid style cards. Okay, so I'm just giving you a look at the DSP and all the yumminess. You can see I've been working with it. So I kind of got a craziness going here. But we'll also be doing some clean and simple, quick and easy style cards as well to use up more of the pieces. You'll have so many pieces that it'll just be, it'll be a lot of fun. And where did I put those cards? I have 2 of them already designed. Okay, here's a couple of the Artfully Avid. Here's one. I'm just going to give you a quick look. And because you're getting that full sheet of DSP, it allows us to make some bigger and crazier things. So there's one. Here's another one. This is a cool, fun fold. Okay. It kind of has a fun little, we like to have second card in there, or second card front rather. Anyhow, so I just wanted to put that little note that, giving you some thoughts. That's what's coming up in May. It will be called Frames and Flowers. And I'm going to pair that class with an existing bundle right now. I don't think it's going to be sold as a bundle anymore, or it might not even be sold as a bundle anymore. It originally was, but we're going to use the Bow Punch, and this is the set that I'll be using for all the greetings. Now, do you need this and this? No, you could easily use greetings you have, and I'm sure you have stamps, not stamps, but punches or dies to cut some leaves. So please join me for my May Technique Time stamp class. It's going to be a hoot. We're going to do some pretty things. And one more reminder, here's our pretty things from today. So stamp every day if you can. Obviously, we can't always do that, right? But make pretty things and enjoy your day. I will catch you next Thursday for Technique Time. Don't forget to sign up. Tomorrow's the last day. Bye-bye.